It all began on a lazy Saturday afternoon. I was stretched out on the couch with my laptop, scrolling through photos from our last trip, when my best friend Ryan sent a playful message about how much he missed our little adventures. I laughed and called my husband David over to read it. "See, David, even Ryan thinks I'm more fun than you," I joked, nudging him lightly. David smiled faintly, but I noticed a slight stiffness in his shoulders. I brushed it off, assuming he was pretending to be hurt for fun. I kept teasing, exaggerating how jealous he must be about my friendship with Ryan. "You should be careful. You know, Ryan might steal me away one day," I said, laughing, expecting him to laugh too. Instead, David's expression shifted. His jaw tightened, and his eyes, usually warm and playful, locked onto me with something I didn't recognize at first. Hurt. I waved it away, thinking it was just a moment before he laughed. But he didn't. David simply stood up. I blinked in confusion. "Where are you going?" I asked, thinking he was joking. He didn't reply. He grabbed his jacket and keys and walked toward the door with a calmness that scared me more than any angry outburst ever could. I jumped up, trying to reach him, my words spilling out in nervous laughter. "David, I'm just joking. Don't take it seriously." But he didn't stop. The door clicked shut behind him, and the silence in our apartment felt overwhelming. I sank back onto the couch, frozen, my heart pounding in disbelief. It didn't feel real. My harmless joke had triggered something I didn't understand, and I had no idea how to fix it. I waited, expecting him to return at any moment, expecting the usual calm talk or a reassuring smile. But minutes turned into an hour, and panic slowly crept in. I called him. No answer. My texts went unread. My mind raced for explanations. Maybe he went for a long drive. Maybe he just needed some air. But deep down, a knot tightened in my stomach. Something had shifted for good. Memories of small arguments over the past month flooded my mind. Tiny annoyances, ignored gestures, my sarcastic jokes, my habit of brushing off his feelings. Had it all built up like a powder keg, and my joke about Ryan was the final spark? I couldn't believe a single teasing comment, something I thought was nothing, could make him leave. Yet the emptiness of the apartment told a truth I wasn't ready to accept. Hours later, David returned in a way I never expected. Not in person, not with explanations. I received a short message. "I need space. Think about how little you consider my feelings before joking." I stared at the screen, trembling. The words felt cold, distant, and final. My first reaction was anger, but it quickly turned into a panic I couldn't shake. I paced the living room, trying to remember the last time I had truly made him feel valued, the last time I had been careful with his emotions. Guilt washed over me like a wave. My teasing, my careless laughter, my constant comparisons. It all seemed harmless to me, but to him, it wasn't harmless at all. It had been disrespectful in ways I had never noticed. The next day was even worse. David didn't reply to calls, texts, or messages on social media. Friends asked if we were okay, but I couldn't tell them the truth. I couldn't admit that my careless words might have pushed him away. I kept replaying the moments before he left. Every joke, every comment, every teasing laugh. My heart ached as I realized I had completely misunderstood him. He wasn't being dramatic or overly sensitive. He had limits, boundaries, and feelings I had casually dismissed without realizing it. And now the silence was my consequence. The husband I had always taken for granted, the man who patiently endured my sarcasm, laughed along with my teasing, and forgave my mistakes, was gone. I was left alone, surrounded by the echo of my own carelessness. By the third day, I was desperate. I sat at the kitchen table with tears streaming down my face, staring at my phone as if my will alone could bring him back. I remembered all the nights he stayed awake to comfort me, the times he put my happiness before his own, and the countless ways he had always placed me first, yet I had failed to even consider his feelings before making jokes. My friendship with Ryan, which I saw as harmless and innocent, had turned into a weapon in my careless hands. I had laughed at my husband's pain, brushed aside his emotions, and now the price was painfully clear. Then, on the fourth day, I received a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was from David's lawyer, asking me to leave the apartment we shared and requesting a formal meeting to discuss separation. My breath caught in my throat. My simple joke had grown into something legal. My stomach twisted as I realized how badly I had misunderstood his patience. The man I believed would always forgive me, the man I thought would never walk away over something so small, had quietly drawn boundaries I never knew existed. My laughter, my teasing, my disregard for his feelings had set off a chain of events I could no longer stop. I spent the next week lost in regret and disbelief. Friends tried to comfort me, but their words felt empty. Only one truth remained. I had taken David for granted, and now he was choosing himself. I replayed that moment again and again. The smirk on my face, the laugh in my voice, the joke that seemed so harmless. Each replay brought new pain. The truth I had ignored before struck me like a freight train. Love isn't just about laughter, and a partner isn't meant to be entertainment. It's about respect, care, and understanding. And in that moment, I had failed at all three. David eventually agreed to meet me, but the conversation was nothing like I imagined. He was calm, steady, and firm. "I've endured being mocked, ignored, and minimized for too long," he said quietly. "I love you deeply, but I also need to respect myself. Your joke wasn't harmless. It was the final straw after everything you overlooked about my feelings." I couldn't speak. The weight of my mistakes made words meaningless. He looked at me one last time, and in his eyes I saw love still there, mixed with the certainty of someone who knew it was time to leave. My heart broke as I realized how wrong I had been about him. And now, I had no one to blame but myself. Weeks passed as I tried to rebuild my life, but the memory of that afternoon, the joke, the walk away, and the silence followed me everywhere. David's absence became a mirror, showing me every careless word and every laugh at his expense. I finally understood too late that love isn't endless joking or playful teasing. It's recognizing, respecting, and valuing the feelings of the person who shares their life with you. That one small joke, that single careless moment, had destroyed everything I cherished. And in the emptiness that followed, I learned the hardest truth of all. Some lessons only come when it's already too late to repair what you've broken.